history. Ooh.
I think that's what they said. Maybe they said that. It was like the coldest weekend in like living memory or something. I don't know what they say. I think they just make it all up.
Wow. We almost missed him. The odds from our partners over at LootBet actually quite heavily favour ESPADA as the favourites going into this Mirage map. Of course, it is their pick. But they seem to quite heavily fancy their chances. Are we going to see a reset here?
Does not look live.
Yeah, Frostlev's not looking like he's having fun.
Maybe it is. Maybe that is the tactic. They're setting 3 in the CT spawn for the faster rotate. That's very peculiar for AGF, but right onto this B-bomb site early. It might even work out for them, but this is the time to shine and connect with a couple of headshots. Nobody finding any success for the first 20 or so seconds before Frostlev comes through with 2. Big damage dealt, replied right back into a fairly even Steven scenario. The T's lacking HP, but Sodvik doesn't care. There's another headshot. They still want to go into this B-bomb site, and now the peak coming in. Netrick, he's got the angle at the ready. Needs to fire through with the P2000, and he knows exactly where Dima's playing from. Back onto 14 points of health. The head glitch angle taken, and what a headshot that is. Dima able to finish things off to put ESPADA 1-0.
Absolutely incredible round with a very, very bizarre start. Actually looked like Frostlev was sort of glitching into the wall a little bit for the first few seconds, but if anything, it gave him a fast rotation. He actually found a couple of kills off of it. So I don't think it was too much of a difference maker as we go into round number 2. Full investments from both sides, but of course, that ESPADA investment looking rather healthy, especially with that bomb plant coming in at the end. They've got 4 Galils, a MAC-10, and a flurry of utility to work with. That grenade raining over. It's going to deal a fair amount of damage. It's actually a very good grenade as these Deagles are able to chime in too. But Dexter, fantastic headshot straight through the smoke, gives them the man advantage with 1:30 to work with.
And this is where AGF has to be very careful. Obviously, this is a pretty common scenario to force buy. You can get a fairly decent buy in round number 3 if you decide to eat the eco here in number 2. But it is those pistols instead, and losing that first member is a pretty hearty disadvantage for this AGF team. As ESPADA want to plummet into the B-bomb site once again. The smokes go down for kitchen, but everybody sat on the actual mainland of this site. They're about to walk into the crossfire here, into these pistols as TMB takes away 2. And the MP9 trying to dive right over the top of these smokes. It's only going to find a little bit of damage on one more. Dexter and Patsy, another 1 versus 2 here for AGF to try and pull through. This time, ESPADA with quite a meaty advantage. They need to chew into this one once again, and it's crossfire to try and do the job. Lucky might have found the first, but Patsy's got a lot of HP and does connect with the 1 bullet required. 2-0.
Back-to-back rounds coming down to these 1 versus 1s. AGF are certainly keeping this close. It doesn't matter all too much in these opening rounds because the reinvestments would come through from ESPADA nonetheless. But if they can continue this as we go into these buy rounds, then absolutely they will be in contention. Potentially even them tipping it over the edge. I think if they had better weaponry to work with there, they certainly could have converted that round. Here, though, just down to these USBs, they're going to go for tons and tons of mid-aggression. They are going to be met by 3, actually 4 players, and a fantastic flash. They seem to read this quite well, and the pistols, they get put to bed. Frostlev's actually done incredibly well to find himself 2 kills there, but that is going to be all. ESPADA put themselves onto 3. Now the buy comes through for AGF.
Well, that is the goal there for AGF in a null and void buy round where you don't spend any money whatsoever. Good utility usage, and ESPADA still lose 2 players, but it happens to be the SMGs. So Finnegan, I think he can pick up. Is there a rifle on the floor? Yes, a Galil. So we do see a full rifle setup from both squads, with the FAMAS taking center stage on AGF for TMB, and a couple of Galils on this ESPADA side. It's not perfect. See that utility isn't absolutely flawless for either squad, but a missed shot and supposedly sticking around, met by the Molotov, means Christo has to backtrack. And here comes the aggression from a secondary quad here. Finnegan ready and waiting for it. Only trades 1 for 1. Usually favors his T side, Jay.
Well, he's actually done quite well there to predict that ramp push and find that kill in that scenario, but it does grant AGF tons and tons of map control. Instead, Frostlev actually falls right back off of it. He doesn't want to be in no man's land with no trade potential, because if he falls, the man advantage goes back in the T's favor, and well, then things aren't looking all too good. Instead, puts himself into Palace. He's got a nice angle here to deal with this push when it comes through. I was actually expecting this to be an execute from ESPADA, considering they still have a lot of utility to work with. Instead, they're grouping up. They want to walk straight into Palace. They are going to be met by Frostlev, but Sotvik's far too quick.
That was a speedy shot. And another rifle traded up. Now an M4 in hand for Dima. No Galils any longer for ESPADA. One of them drops, one of them trades. Now AGF should want to potentially save. I guess Christo is trying to pitch and poach in for this first frag, but with TMB dropping, gives them no chance in this retake. Now they'll have to backtrack once again. As Christo's AWP did have a couple of opportunities there, but getting absolutely nothing done with a sniper. Gives away that A bomb site and a 4th round to this ESPADA terrorist half. With the potential for even more here, I guess they could force buy into this next. It would probably be 2 Deagles or 2 MP9s, 3 rifles, considering TMB does have a little bit of a bank. And we see the max loss bonus here. Boom. Up to the 4,000 mark. This will definitely be rifles for AGF.
Absolutely. It's rather a shame that Christo actually whiffs a couple of shots there, especially for an AWPer of his caliber. They were fairly routine ones to hit. And if he'd have hit them, it probably would have turned the tides of the round, because he went for that aggressive peek on Palace. If he hits that shot, they take the man advantage. And then when he fell back to CT and ESPADA went for that late execute once again, if he'd have hit that shot out of Palace, then that would have almost certainly been their round. But instead, it goes the other way. The save comes through, and it will be another full buy-up in the 5th. But ESPADA, they've taken 4. They've got some money behind them. They've got some momentum as well. And as they storm right into this A-bomb site, they want to take these fights right here, right now. A fantastic flash allows Lucky to swing, but he's only good for 1 before it's traded. Ooh. These CTs trying to wriggle their way back in. This isn't working at all for them, Squid.
No, that's very unneeded as well. Jumping onto Tetris like that gives ESPADA an easy A-bomb site. Even in the 4 versus 4s, you can play those retake scenarios. Even with an AWP in hand for Christo, he should be able to maneuver his way back in and find a kill or so. And then, yeah, you've got 4 players alive to try and trade these Ts. But again, ESPADA come out on top. We saw those loot bet odds at the start of this game. ESPADA were heavily favored even coming into this map. We know how good their CT side can be here on Mirage. So taking this 5-0 lead on the T side as well is definitely a bit of a scare for the Danes. And now this is where they have to try and bounce it back. I guess they go for the Force again. They've got enough money to do so with Frostlev, Lucky, both in the mid 5,000s. And I suppose, does somebody else drop the rifle for Netric? I think yes. I think, does TMB drop it or somebody else? He's obviously got a lot of utility as well. So I didn't catch exactly who that was, but the drop allows him to go for this full purchase. And now ESPADA want to change it up towards the curly letter. Here they come.
Oh, it's looking very quick. They've certainly given up some info. They slow it down for a second or two just for the flashes to come over. And then Finnegan's allowed to explode onto this site and find that opener onto Netric. The AWP shot whiffs again from Christo as he can't hit the cross. Does come through for the second time, though. That is going to be Dima now gone. A 4 versus 4 for them to work with, but they have to retake this tricky B site with so many angles to hold on to. Christo thinning out the numbers further, though. Now a good chance for them to get in here, especially as Sotfik falls. It's all down to Patsy, and Christo is actually going to nail him. A fantastic round from him. 4 kills found, and the defuse as well. Very, very nice stuff from AGF.
And that is where the AWP is best used in a retake. Just scoping these angles through, expecting ESPADA to take aggressive stances. They do, they make the mistakes. And that's an opportunity onto the board for AGF in what could have been a very tough, tricky retake in the 4 versus 3. This is when they have to start chaining together rounds, though, Jay. The loss bonus quickly starts to creep down as you win a round or two. And, well, this money isn't looking too good. I guess they have a buffer after surviving with, was that 4 players alive right there? Quite a convincing round, all things considered. But there's the change of pace. A nice opening from Sopvig and Finnegan. And how do AGF respond?
Well, Frostlev trying to over on that A site, but other than finding that kill onto the Lurker, he's not going to be allowed a whole lot more. The presence from ESPADA is elsewhere. And Frostlev's control is not going to give him a whole lot to work with, especially as Christo's actually invested that AWP as well over towards CT. This is almost certainly looking like a B take for ESPADA here, and AGF are just miles away. If they can take out Netric, they almost certainly convert this round. Instead, they actually decide to backtrack, and this is where they could walk into the blender. Instead, the sixth sense kicks in that you always talk about, Squid, and they go the other way. That's actually quite a bizarre one. They're almost set in their ways that they're going to go to A, and then a call comes through, and they go, no, we're going to go back. We're going to head towards this B site. It's absolutely the right call to make.
So here's a theory. Maybe the sixth sense is a false positive, considering one person has to get it right out of the two. This round's over.
Yeah, very much so.
Surely.
Did they even go for the save here? I think they almost certainly do, yeah.
Definitely.
Don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, especially with the money in this kind of polarized state with TMB and Netric without real cash. They're back up to $3,400 here, or it might actually be $2,900 perhaps, with the loss bonus actually trickling down ever so slightly. But that still is enough to gift them a full buy into the next. And ESPADA haven't been able to break this economy. They've just been winning all of the gun rounds, pretty much. That pistol, able to get onto good stead against the less advantageous buys. And we've seen 7 rounds as of this point, Jay, and well, 6 of them, or only 1 of them has been a full eco, I should say, for AGF. So they don't need to eco right now. If you've got the cash, it doesn't really matter. By the way, go and check out Hellcase. If you're over 18, you can use Malta V and Malta V15 for that refill bonus and deposit bonus. Gamble responsibly.
Wow. A timeout here for AGF. Not a bad time for one. They've, of course, found themselves around. It's bounced right back the other way. That was really their opportunity to try and pull back this initial gap and break their opponent's economy, and instead they've just been unable to do so. Nonetheless, they have been gifted another full buy, and as you say, you don't really focus too much on how it happens in these games, but sometimes teams are just really good at managing their economy, and that's what we're seeing from AGF here. When they needed to go onto an eco, they just went down to a full eco. There's no investment of pistols and like some grenades to try and get work done. They just go down to that full eco. They make sure that they've got a full buy coming into the next. And even after these rounds where they've lost a couple in a row, they then win one back and their economy should be in tatters. Instead, they've actually got a full buy. They've got some money behind them as well for another investment after this, especially if they lose this round and go back to max loss bonus. But what they really need is the round wins, and that's not happening. Dexter making sure of it as he finds 2 openers, actually in 2 different positions as well. Finds that first in the window, then repositions, takes that angle on connector, and absolutely decimates that AWPer. Very early 2-man advantage for them to work with, and this could be a round win before we even get started.
That's exceptional game sense from the CIS sniper. Not just finding that first reactionary shot off the timing towards window, but also the counter, the attempted punish. And there it is once again. TMB now being spotted. Should get traded here, but Netric's there to bail him out of a world of trouble. That nade lands perfectly. Finnegan nonetheless is able to open up B, but the bomb is a million miles away. And I think he's just going to take this fight against TMB. He's going to voyage into the market. And will he spot out Finnegan here? This is an awful angle. TMB's never going to check it. And there's the headshot to confirm the round for ESPADA. 7-1. Feels like AGF are down on their luck right now. No saves right there. Of course, the money is pretty strong once again. So we'll see another full buy come out.
Oh, this might just be the last. They have still got a bit of cash behind them with the max loss bonus. I think they could actually buy another round off of this. This is quite bizarre.
Yeah, it feels very infrequently when you see this, that the CT side has such a sturdy economy, but that's just off the back of saving. They've probably saved a total of 10 rifles this map.
It certainly worked out well for them as ESPADA try and get onto this A site. They're actually doing so without these initial setup smokes. They just throw in a Molotov to force back that CT player. Sopfix already behind enemy lines in connector, and that's the AWP out of the equation. The rotations have to come through quite fast, but as they're both coming through CT, there's an opportunity here for a single smoke, maybe just a flash and a peek to eliminate them. That's exactly what's going to happen. The flash comes through, Frostlev goes unchecked, and Netric can swing out to support. All of a sudden, AGF are back in the driver's seat off of just a small mistake that ESPADA have made, and they have to try and fight their way back in. And Dexter missing that AWP shot. I think it's almost certainly going to go in AGF's favor. Keeping 4 alive as well is actually going to work wonders for the economy further. As they retrieve the AWP, go into number 10. Now a 5-round gap for them to pull back.
Maybe they have a money tree, M&J.
Maybe that's what it is.
Doing great.
There's that little tree in the spawn as well.
That is the tree. There it is. It's on your screen. There's the money tree.
Wow. Ooh. Wow. Dexter, he's been so consistent with these mid shots, hasn't he? Just opening up the round time and time again. He does the same here. Another good grenade's going to deal tons of damage. Actually deals less than I thought, but he takes some Molotov damage as well. So sitting on 40 very early on in this round, and TMB looking to do some damage here on short.
Dexter is such a threat. Once again, inside the connector, misses that shot by a shoulder. And now ESPADA can start to apply the pressure. TMB spotted. There's the double peek coming through. Lots of damage dealt, and the Glock to finish him off. Nicely done by Dima, traded up. 4-3. Let's see how AGF decide to respond. A little bit of ramp aggression here on the A-bomb site, leaving just Netric alone, with the reinforcements nowhere to come for the CTs. And if he gets aggressively traded on his own, this round is instantly done and dusted. He needs to find 2 or 3 kills right here. Otherwise, I feel like AGF have just no chance in this one. And well, there's the 2, the minimum threshold he needed to find. And there's the 3rd. Beautiful stuff. Patsy last alive. And this is all falling apart from ESPADA. The rotates are coming in. Here come the reinforcements radioed through. And that's the damage dealt as well. They know exactly where Patsy's playing from. And Netric's just done everything there. What a stunning quad kill on the B-bomb site. We'll surely see it again, Jay.
Yeah, really, really nice stuff. Flicks back down to find that 3rd onto Finnegan as well. And it somewhat comes off the back of TMB's damage earlier on that round, considering they actually flashed and hard cleared that ladder area. For him to deal what was about 180 damage across those 2 players means that later on in that round, when they go for that push, they're actually got 2 guys on very, very low HP, and it certainly gives Netric an opportunity to find a triple piece like that and tip that round over the edge. Right now, the Glocks flurry in from Palace, and they get completely shut down. I actually got quite far in on the site. I got a little bit scared for a second, but AGF clean it up with no problems whatsoever. That's just one of those rounds where ESPADA just want to get it over and done with. They just charge in. They hope that maybe they find a kill in a bomb plant, but I don't think they have their fingers crossed all too much.
No, it's absolutely about that bomb there. They want a little bit of bonus cash going into this 12th round. It would have given them an extra Molotov here and there, maybe an HE for Dima. But realistically, not too much more. They're not too far away from looking like a flawless buy on this T side. Of course, they're deprived of that Dexter AWP, I guess, which has actually been massively impactful, especially towards the middle of the map. Now something far more standard as the smoke is being spotted. Lucky, able to combine lots and lots of damage through those clouds. And now ESPADA, it's their time to shine. There's the retort, 3 quick kills. And now Netric has to be the support against Dexter. He will get the bomb down upon this A bomb site. But what's the afterplant going to look like here? With the smoke fully placed, he wants to stand behind this triple box and maybe voyage into the CT spawn. I guess AGF would predict this. Sat behind the ticket booth. This is a more awkward angle to contend with, especially if you want to get onto stairs. He needs to connect these shots, but all of the information is given away, and he's unable to connect with anything. That's a 5th for AGF as they start clawing these rounds back now. This is a nice little streak for them. If they can get to 7 rounds or 8 on this CT side, I think they're going to be more than happy about this, considering the 7-1 start.
Absolutely. When you go 7-1 up, it can be quite worrying as a CT side because you say, do you know what? 7 rounds on this T side of Mirage isn't bad. And considering they've still got another 8 to play with, there's opportunity for them to go 9-6, 10-5, possibly even further. But as you say, now that AGF has started to pull this back, their opponent's economy is at bay. They've got plenty of money in the bank as well to buy out for these next few rounds. I think it's far more likely that we will see something along the lines of an 8-7, maybe a 9-6, which isn't too bad, especially considering they took that early detriment of rounds. Right now, they're all set up for this A push. The flash comes over on B. They're hoping it draws a rotation. It isn't actually going to do that whatsoever, but nonetheless, Patsy opens things up with that initial kill. Christo really needs to just stay alive here. If he tries to jump onto the ticket booth and do some kind of hero play, that might be what costs him the round. Instead, he doesn't, calls the rotation, waits for this smoke to dissipate, and he'll try and contest this a little bit later in the round.
The incendiary grenade's perfect to force Patsy out of position and burn him alive. And well, here come the CTs. Netric still standing. Well, for no longer. TMB trades chaos on the A bomb site as Christo, the first man in, is the last man out. With 50 seconds remaining, that bomb being planted in the safe space of this A bomb site is already being checked. There's the crossfire. ESPADA, that's beautiful. Up to 8 for them. And AGF just didn't really have anything competitive to say about that A bomb site defense. Christo, I do feel like he played that a little too timid. He needed to get into the action whilst that double swing comes through. If he's still sat behind ticket booth while his teammates are finding all of the engagements, it's absolutely worthless to have that AWP there in place. They need to activate that sniper, at least to find those first shots, which is incredibly hard to do considering ESPADA are playing a pop flash setup towards Palace. Even with smokes placed, they're able to get all the way out into the open, and that's why you need somebody on anti-flash, and AGF just don't have that on this A bomb site. It does seem like a bit of a weak defense. And then the retakes, I wouldn't say that the retakes have been as flimsy, but that is where ESPADA play their best Counter-Strike.
Dexter even having another pop at it as well. AGF, they tried to tighten this A defense by applying some pressure over towards ramp, and ESPADA just aren't buying it. Instead, they're going over towards mid. They're trying to come in from connector. Christo is allowed 1, but it's instantly traded by Dexter. He's been incredibly consistent so far this game. Finnegan, well, that's going to be a freebie onto Frostlev. Lucky he's not anticipated, but he does get dinked, and Patsy's going to finish him off. Trades coming through left, right, and center here. It does level out into a 2-on-2. The bomb site still firmly in ESPADA's grasp, but well, having to go back and retrieve that bomb is going to waste valuable time, and it allows AGF to get into these retake positions. TMB could even just swing right here and deny the plant if he goes unchecked. This could be dangerous.
Nobody wanting to make the first mistake or take the initial swing. Where is this bomb planted from? Well, Finnegan, he knows exactly what to do. There's the protective shot. And the Molotov falls in exactly the wrong place. That's going to force absolutely nobody out and wait for the double swing. It's perfectly timed for ESPADA. I just love that round from them. Dexter just prompting so many initial fights from the connector. He's got more balls than a tennis coach, taking fights time and time and time again. I think he went for 4 separate swings before going down. And realistically, he's doing a great job. 11-10. And everybody from ESPADA really stepping up. Yes, Steam is a little bit behind on 5 kills, but everybody else finding their marker on this scoreboard, and 9 rounds is more than good enough.
Potentially a 10th on the cards here as well, as the buy of AGF isn't looking all too great. These 2 M4s both stacked up over towards this B bomb site. So if they head to A, there's a very weak defense. It's actually quite bizarre from AGF. They are really putting all their eggs in one basket, stacking 4 men over towards this B site. For now, it's actually looking like where ESPADA might end up. But considering the way they've been playing, where they go for this connector control and they find that initial kill onto A and then they push through, I think it's likely that they try and do the same. Instead, they spot out the boost on short, find that initial headshot. Now they want to try and get into a site here. And with a minute left on the clock, the firepower in their favor, the man advantage in their favor as well, I fancy their chances in doing so.
Wow, that is such a lovely bait and switch setup. Dexter always seems to be in the right place at the right time, and ESPADA seem to know that they're walking into the stack over by the B bomb site. Dima's got complete control here in window room. Does whiff that first shot, but it shouldn't even matter. Dexter, he keeps his position totally in place, and now he's going down into the underpass as well. What is this man doing? A massive triple kill to finish off the half, and Lucky has no chance. 10 HP, no defuse kit. There's the AK, but no saving any longer. He needs to hit all of the headshots, and he's still got 3 Ts to deal with. It's going to be 10-5 to finish this one off, as Dima confirms it. Double digits for ESPADA. Here we go.
Well.
This is definitely the Dexter combination. That was a no-scope as well to start things off. And just look at him. Look at the balls on this man. He knows. He knows.
Yeah, it can be very scary when you're faced up against an AWPer like that. You just have no idea where he's coming from. You have to be constantly wary of him. And ESPADA, look at these odds. You place a pound on him, you get 4p back. That's how confident Lootbet are that he's going to win. In fact, they're going to win. They are looking very, very good right now. I mean, it's only a 10-5 scoreline. This is certainly a doable comeback for AGF, especially if they can convert this pistol round. But ESPADA, they've just looked like the better team here on Mirage, and coming into this pistol, they've found that opening pick. It is traded out by Frostlev. Dexter has to try and fight his way out the corner, and, well, Patsy's there to support him. They've actually got 3 players in jungle right now, and they're getting a little bit overwhelmed. These close fights with the Glocks can often be a difficult one to come out of with a USP, but Finnegan takes it at range and wins the fight. Christo now last alive in this 2-on-1. The P250 in hand, not connecting the headshot, and Dexter's going to put him to bed. ESPADA take that all-important pistol round. 11-5 they now sit. And this is, well, a very, very difficult situation for AGF to come out of.
Yeah, very tough for the P250. Unfortunately, there was literally not a defuse kit in play right there. So if he maybe delays for 5 to 10 seconds, there's perhaps an opportunity that he takes the round, knowing that they have to take a 1-versus-1 gunfight to get that bomb defused. Having that C4 down is a massive advantage for a T side, and you've really just got to play your cards right. I don't think that he would be expecting no defuse kit to be in play, but nevertheless, we've got a way easier job than these guys actually in the server. We can see all of the information, and, well, defuse kits, that's just not info that they've got on the server until it's too late, of course. The 90-second mark, this is not going to be the force buy for AGF. Despite getting that bomb down and away, it'll be just Deagles. They could have picked up a couple of Galils here and there. That would be my preferred setup, to be perfectly honest, in a round like this. You almost get a better buy than the CT forces, but up against the full rifle power with only unarmored Deagles, it's just not going to happen. 0 damage dealt.
Well, there's certainly 2 ways of looking at it. When you look at this scoreline, you say to yourself, personally, I agree with you. I would have rathered AGF come into this one with the Galils, try and contest this early on and close this gap before ESPADA are allowed to rack up some money and the rounds on their CT half. But you can also look at it on the basis of we're a fair few rounds down, but it's not over yet. ESPADA haven't quite got to that point where we have to be forcing in and we can't afford to lose any more rounds. So we actually can justify just dropping down to this eco. We'll have a full investment in the next and we'll contest it there. 7 in a row isn't impossible, but it's certainly improbable. As AGF group up, head over towards this A bomb site. It's looking like they're going to go for a very quick execute as the smoke starts to rain over.
This has to be contained by ESPADA right now, and they've done so perfectly. That trio of shots coming through, Netric taking tons of damage as well, down to 20. TMB's over by mid, and well, that is quite the swift headshot, but he's got to find a lot more, and well, there it is. HE finishing him off, sending him 6 feet under. Now 1 versus 2 for TMB to do. He's got a fairly powerful position over by short, but this might be a little telegraphed considering ESPADA is spotting nothing towards the ramp area. He's going to run and gun nonetheless, not knowing where this second man is playing from and trying to tap him out. There goes the re-swing once more. It's maybe the 4th time we've seen a coordinated double peek like that from ESPADA this game. Their timing seems to be absolutely on point. There's no way of winning a 1 versus 2 like that if ESPADA are going to play together. And really, that's where all the practice has come from. 13-5 and back to the pistols for AGF. This is looking not very good, to say the least.
Yeah, it really isn't. That was their opportunity to come back into this game. If they could have converted that round, then they put themselves 6-12. It certainly becomes doable. Instead, they face up against these rifles, just the pistols to work with. They do find the opener, do tons of damage as well, but well, Dexter's not going to be missing a close-up shot like that. The grenade's going to do a fair amount of damage as well. The bomb does go down nonetheless. A 4 versus 4, tons of damage taken from this CT side as well. This is certainly doable for these pistols. They've taken themselves some good positions. There's a couple of kits on this CT side to work with, of course, as they group up for this retake. But they have got to take these close fires, and that AWP's not really the weapon you want to be doing so with.
This is really bad for AGF. They're completely out-positioned here, and the bomb is planted, like, literally in the center of this bomb site. ESPADA, they should be able to easily deal with this. You see that those Ts are all forced completely out of position to try and defend that C4. It's just not going to happen. You cannot play a triple jungle setup when the bomb is tucked in behind those triple boxes. 14-5, you pretty much guarantee that you lose the round as of that point with only a single player there to play the C4. Genuinely, as soon as that 1 kill comes through, ESPADA can jump right on the defuse. And AGF are completely outmaneuvered in that scenario, and realistically, they did it to themselves. 14-5. Not looking very good thus far. Here's one last swing into this, perhaps, with a full buy in round number 20.
Once again, look at the money. They lost last round. With that bomb plant, they've still got the cash to work with. They've got money behind it as well to buy into a follow-up if needs be, but there's no point in talking about the money if they can't convert the rounds. Christo's going to take tons of damage from that Molotov. And ESPADA have just been playing flawlessly. Their utility usage has been fantastic, even in rounds like this where they don't have too much of it to work with. Their coordination on their double peaks and things like that has been fantastic. Even in that retake scenario there, they smoke the bomb, they tap it, they apply that pressure, it forces all of those Ts out of position, and they just know what's up. They have a fantastic read of everything that's going on in the server, and you just top it off. The cherry on the cake with Dexter hitting so many shots with this AWP. Sopvik's going to be the man to open things up this time. The trade does come through, but Finnegan's going to fight back. Now a man advantage for ESPADA to work with, and 40 seconds on the clock.
ESPADA are such a scary side to play against. Their fundamentals are all there, getting chopped apart this time. Hatsia 1 versus 3, and this is time to flex a little bit of star power. Perhaps gets shot clean away. 14-6, that was a better round from AGF. I feel like ESPADA did finally make a couple of mistakes, a couple of disjointed peaks after the initial man goes down inside jungle, and 14-6. I don't think ESPADA are going to be feeling the heat at this point. If AGF can get this up to 11 or 12 rounds on this T side, then Perhaps ESPADA might want to go back to the drawing board. They've still got all of their tactical timeouts in hand as well, so they can break the pace at any point. And this mid aggression, ESPADA usually has very assertive mid control, but Dexter only trades 1 for 1.
Well, only 3 FAMASs to work with here for ESPADA. There's certainly potential that AGF could come back into this one. Minute 20 on the clock. AGF are taking quite a lot of control as they start to work over towards B. There are 2 players holding it, but Netrik's got a perfect pincer. He'll be able to find himself at least one of them. Patsy now has to be aware of his flank, but at the same time, they're flurrying through the apartments. He has to be careful here. He is able to find himself one. Zotvik finds another. Patsy swings and finds the third. This is almost all said and done unless Christo can go huge. Does actually convert the kill with a Glock. Why is he not pulling out the AWP? It's such a shame. Finnegan comes out on top, and ESPADA put themselves onto match point. After he found that initial kill with the Glock, I would have liked to see him stay behind that pillar, pull out the AWP, go for the shot, and actually take his time there. Instead, it was a little bit hasty, and it certainly costs them.
Well, this map might be over. ESPADA, a very convincing performance thus far in 1 out of 9 needed. That seems to be the commonality today. Very quick first series, and well, we might be destined for maybe one of the shortest work days in esports history. 16-6 firmly on the cards with that initial preliminary damage being pumped onto Christo. Down to 11 HP before the round even really gets going. And there's Dexter. Expect him to make follow-up peaks. Yes, the smoke is placed, but this is for the CT side. Dexter's happy to just keep the angle posted and now fall away after taking that predictive shot. And AGF, what's the game plan here? They are completely spread across this map. TMB is solo holding this B bomb site, but he's not making any noise. Yes, he's got lots of utility. I guess this is going to be the weakest fake in Counter-Strike history, where he just throws all the nades in on his lonesome. How is he ever going to find this kill against Dexter on his own, though? I just cannot see it happening. And ESPADA are still fairly well set up. So here come the nades. It's not going to pull any rotate. ESPADA, they've not fallen for it whatsoever. There goes the nades over on A as well. TMB gone. That is a pretty bad fake, all things considered. ESPADA aren't buying it for 1 second, and they find the kills regardless. That's a big move, but with 20 seconds left, the rotate in full face. Christo finding yet another. Patsy just has to deny this bomb, and all the kills come in. AGF, despite a janky tactic, they're able to pull it up to 7.
Yeah, I did question there when we saw that initial fake coming through. You don't see the rotations board. You see the positions as well, with the player playing on sandwich and the guy on site. You have a really good crossfire, but AGF just broke it. That Molotov confirmed that there was, in fact, a player in sandwich. That gave them a very, very easy kill to find. And then off of that, yeah, they just came through with the trades. They came through with those initial headshots as well, which actually got them onto that bomb site. And they played that very, very well. It's a shame that I feel like it's a little too late right now. Obviously, their opponents are on match point. They need 8 in a row to tip this over the edge. But nonetheless, it's certainly going to be a little bit of a confidence booster, and they need it going into map number 2, especially losing this badly. Sanfu's been heard, and Dima somehow comes out on top nonetheless. He's just going to chip away at his opponent's economy, I suppose. He'll grab himself an AK to fall back with. Dexter wants to find one of his own.
Yeah, expect him to stick around for the time being and try and steal away another potential AK-47. He's just waiting for AGF to make a mistake, and well, there it goes. Doing economical damage onto the Danes doesn't really matter, but if he can steal away a rifle, that at least gives him something else to use and utilize going into the next. And just keeping these angles posted, I guess he'll try and gun into this bomb site to try and grab hold of the AK-47, but with TMB trading it out, he probably wants to go to connector just in the hope that this Galil is going to be blasted his way, and we'll see it. There it goes. Pew! It's over by the bench. He's never going to be able to find this one.
He does actually save a Kevlar and a helmet, a deagle, I suppose. It gives him something to work with going into this next round, but I think this will almost certainly be a full eco. So an opportunity for AGF to put themselves onto 9. Actually close this gap a little bit further. I don't think it's worth talking about them making the comeback and taking it to overtime just yet. I think they're still quite far away from that being a possibility. For now, they're playing good Counter-Strike, though. On this T side, they're looking a lot more comfortable. It's a shame that we didn't see them starting off on this side. They should be able to take this round with ease as well. Just against the pistols, of course. The 1 AK on Dima, and he's on the wrong side of the map as they went for this B stack, and it just didn't pay off. I think it's very likely that he just goes for another save here.
Absolutely. You want to keep that AK-47 in hand going into the next. These pistols can hunt for the exits, but AGF shouldn't give away all too much here. Maybe even surviving with all 5 players alive and in hand. Even if they drop a couple of players here, the only real benefit for ESPADA is if they grab hold of one of these AKs and steal one away. And that would be a big mistake for AGF right now. I think that their T-sides actually had a lot more hope, to be perfectly honest. This T-sides looked a lot better than their defensive half. We've seen a couple of messy strategies from their T-side, but yeah, realistically, this has been a lot more positive. They've broken the economy a couple of times for ESPADA, and that's kind of what we're looking for at this point. You've got to keep that money low on the CTs, grind these rounds back. They've got to take 6 in a row as of this point. And remember, Jay, these aren't all going to be gun rounds. We'll see the half-buys and the ecos come through for ESPADA as well. Not this time, though. A fairly wholesome buy. Dexter doesn't have that AWP once more. Nevertheless, it's 5 lots of automatic rifles. You've got that AK-47 in play for Dima, and this looks very fast for AGF. Is this going to catch ESPADA out? They need to connect with the shots.
Well, if they can convert this round, there's an opportunity, a very slightly open door back into this game. They have to get the work done here first. A net trick. Oh my goodness, a fantastic headshot. Christo follows it up. I think AGF might just be able to tip this one over to the 10th. Patsy, last alive, 1 versus 4. He will hear that bomb going down, but he knows he can't swing and deny it. There's almost certainly someone watching him, and he's absolutely right. Netrick doesn't care, though. He's going to go for that swing, find a freebie, and AGF actually put themselves onto 10. This is where ESPADA call a timeout here. They get a little bit worried. You have to be at this point.
Yeah, this is ESPADA's map pick. They want to guarantee the win in this one. You see, Sotvig actually has a fairly sturdy economy, so he can actually drop over that AWP in the next round, but decides not to, wants to scout instead. I would definitely be preferring Dexter on this particular weapon. I'd love to see him throw it over to him, just trade it up for a deagle perhaps. But nonetheless, 5 is the difference, and AGF, this is going to be a potential freebie right now, a round that they should certainly win. ESPADA are dangerous at every single point during this comeback, though. AGF have to play some flawless Counter-Strike. They can't make a mistake, even against a couple of deagles here and there. A scout. It still has the potential for danger in round number 26, especially with Patsy towards the underpass. You see that it's being watched quite remotely from the top of these stairs. And that flashbang is going to bait out the shots and give away his position. Probably force him back into Netrick's open arms over by mid. So he's trapped for the time being, only able to bail away. I think the one opportunity for ESPADA here is stack a site. If you get it right, maybe you close out the game a little earlier than expected. And maybe with the bomb stacking towards B, this might be their best bet.
Oh, even the boost going up for Patsy. If they just hide here, they've certainly got an opportunity for AGF to walk into the bait, get caught out by it. They've actually not taken any control over towards Ace. They have absolutely no idea what's up here. And Sotvik, he's able to find one before he falls. A good angle from Dima allows him to find himself a kill. Picks up the AK, but it's traded before he can pull it out. A 3 versus 3 now. The Pistols have to chime through some more, and well, maybe a slightly premature peek from Patsy is going to cost him his life. Finnegan last alive in a 1-on-3. They've done a fair amount of damage, but realistically, he could do with one more here. The round would be nice, but I don't think that's on the cards right now. Finnegan, far too much work to do. No Kevlar in hand. 3 Ts to find. And it's not looking like he's going to be able to grab any of them. TMB takes that kill with ease, and AGF put themselves onto 11.
I'd say this is a good time for a tactical timeout for ESPADA. I guess they've just taken one, so maybe feeling like they can get right into this 27th. But AGF are on a little bit of a tear on this T side. That's 5 in a row for them. And something a little more convincing from the Danes. That was a little bit of a scary round considering they had no information towards the A bomb site. And with Dexter just nailing another one and TMB not pulling the trigger, leaves Netric for dead. And now AGF need to break onto A with a player behind. This might be the last round of Mirage. They're getting cut apart at every single angle. Another 2 versus 5 scenario. And this time, Froslev and TMB have to be heroes. There's 2 quick kills. But with Dexter taking the angle, uncharacteristically missing even the hardest of shots, Froslev's got to do everything right now. The bomb finally rotating away. And they're selecting the correct bomb site. If they find Patsy early, if Patsy even just misses 1 shot, then this will give away the B side of things. TMB, it's all a matter of when he decides to scope in and cannot push into that Molotov being on 9 HP. So he's forced back for a couple of moments. He doesn't want to zoom in, Jay. He doesn't want to give away that audio cue to Patsy to allow this rotate over. ESPADA right now have no idea what AGF are doing. They need to just follow their heart, go for a prediction perhaps, but this is a powerful angle for Patsy. How is TMB going to be able to get over this one? He is just going to jump straight through. The tag missed. They do close in, and there's TMB with the opening. That's beautiful. The orb at the ready, but Dexter's a little bit quicker. Great headshot leaves Froslev in a 1 versus 2. And there's the AK-47. Doesn't finish him off. Dexter, he hasn't got a kit either, so the nade rolls in, and the orb, oh, it's going to lock him in this corner right now. Dexter, he doesn't have the information. He needs to gun for this one, and the AK finishes him. That's a 2 versus 5 to keep AGF in this.
Wow, ESPADA are not going to be happy about that. That was an opportunity where they could have just taken that one over the edge. They take the game 16-11, and they'll be happy with that. Instead, they're forced down to another eco. There's an opportunity for AGF to put themselves onto 13, and that is such a huge clutch. The 2 versus 5 coming off the back of just a few whiffs there from ESPADA. Of course, that AWP shot missing over on that B site, and then just no retake coming through, really. That was absolutely incredible from Froslev to tip that one over the edge. A lifeline.
You know what's funny, Jay? I actually heard GG's in the chat.
Wow.
In the in-game chat.
Well, at least his teammates had perhaps enough faith for him to stay in the server. You see sometimes actually those scenarios where like players leave and they're like GG and they leave the server, and then like a clutch comes through and they're like no way, and you have to pause the game and like they
I've
get
seen
back
that
in the
once in my career.
I've seen it before too.
So that's a sad situation.
Yeah, lack of faith in your teammates' abilities to clutch, I suppose, but doesn't matter as long as they do it. They're still back.
We did have a team think that they had won the game already. They had like 21 rounds in OT and then just leave. Just see you later. It's a peculiar one.
Yeah, I'd never seen one of those before then. Unfortunately, we didn't get to cast it. Just saw it afterwards, but yeah, these rifles just chipping away at these pistols. I don't think that ESPADA have a lot of chance in this round whatsoever, and just due to that fact means that AGF are actually able to bring this scoreline in very, very close contention. This is something for ESPADA to go away with, I think, that actually this has been a good game for them. Yeah, 100% for them to get themselves onto 15 when they did and play as well as they did earlier on. This has been a very, very good game for them. But as we see with many teams at this tier, they have a trouble closing out, and they need to make sure that they are playing their best Counter-Strike in these later rounds, because we're now sitting around number 29, and who would have expected us to be here? AGF, they're in contention. I talked about it earlier on when they pulled back around. I said, I'm not even going to talk about the potential of them bringing it back to OT yet because they're not there yet. Now they're here, and if they win this buy round, they've got an incredible chance of doing so. They almost certainly put themselves into OT if they win this buy up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is one to put in the trophy cabinet or whatever for ESPADA. Realistically, I don't think they're going to be massively happy with this first map, considering this was literally like 14-5, 15-5. AGF have just been trailblazing it back on this T side. We did say earlier that they are much better on their terrorist half, but ESPADA just haven't put anything to force, losing that massive 2 versus 5 situation as well. Big mistakes, and now getting out-rotated by AGF. Netrix sending his full focus into the B bomb site, and ESPADA have no idea. They've allowed him to creep really close here. That's forced the bomb all the way back, and Netrix realistically only needs 1 kill to throw a massive spanner in the works for ESPADA. Yes, Patsy's watching the angle, and here comes the flashbangs, but he's got so much information. He's going to be right behind the majority of this defense, and surprise, surprise, Dima's eliminated. There's the defense gone, and ESPADA, they're going to have to vie to stop this from getting to OT at this point. I don't think they're even going to be able to save the rifles. There goes another one. The AWP trying to save within the CT spawn, but Dexter's getting pressured from every angle. A little bit of a saving grace from Finnegan, but he goes down. 15-14. AGF, how have they done this?
This is absolutely mental. Even right at the end there's so much money in the bank. We've got players sitting on 16k here for AGF that they could afford to just charge right in and hunt for those players in the dying moments. ESPADA now, they have to win this round or we go to OT in a scenario that we just shouldn't have. We just shouldn't be here, Squid. This has been, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds in a row for AGF. This was 15-7. 15-7. In fact, 8 rounds in a row. So it's 15-6.
Absolutely. It's the caster curse again. We completely wrote them off. I said that it was going to be the quickest work day in esports history. That was my quote. And well, that no longer on the cards. 16-14 or bust for ESPADA, as maybe we will go to overtime with only the FAMASes in play. This is a janky buy for ESPADA. They need to pull it back and just close this out right now. I would say that AGF, I guess they're slight favorites if they do take it to OT with the momentum factor coming into place. They would obviously start on that T side as well. So the opportunity to claw in to 16, 17, and 18 rounds. We've got to get there first. This is a good piece of information for ESPADA, knowing that there's nobody playing outside the A ramp. They need to get rid of this third player over by the ticket booth. That's Dexter, finally gone. Can stack this B bomb site. They do have to be worried about connector control. But all the way into the T spawn, this is an awkward scenario for AGF. They're going to have no idea that this fast flank is coming through. And with this being a B take, AGF might get bagged into this one. B splits. There go the Molotovs. Patsy over in this corner, which is often and pretty much always being checked. There goes the bomb as well. All the info given and gifted away. And it all comes down to the flank. In from behind Sotvik. He's very quick on the aggressive. Frozlev needs to get away from this one. But there's the shot from behind. The Farmers does convert. Dexter once again doing everything. And what a headshot to finish off the job. USPS up to 16. That is sensational. And how painful is that one, Jay? Clawing it all the way back. 7 rounds in a row. Losing the final hurdle. That is... Gosh, that is painful. I almost feel like my teeth gritting and like my back hurting or something. That is a pain.
It absolutely is. ESPADA, they do well to take it over the top right at the end there, but that is very, very unfortunate after a huge comeback from AGF that they just can't take it to overtime, to be honest. It's a shame that they couldn't find that groove earlier on in the game, because you often do see teams like that. They kind of, when they have that lifeline adrenaline, they pull it all the way back and take it to OT. What I do like to see there, though, is the fact that actually ESPADA, in that final situation, you often see some of these teams where they'll try and change it up. They say, oh, it's 15-14, we're going to change something up, and then it ends up costing them. Instead, AGF, they actually go for that same kind of setup that they've been going for, but this time ESPADA finally react to it. We saw them playing the same setup on their CT side over and over again. It wasn't working for them. This time, we see some ramp aggression. Off of the back of that ramp aggression, they wrap all the way around. They gain tons and tons of info. They know it's going to be a B hit, and they stack up. And despite the fact that they have the firepower disadvantage because they're down to the FAMASs, they're still able to pull it off because they have the positional advantage. And that's what it's all about. We have a disadvantage here, so you have to take an advantage somewhere else. If you don't have the firepower, you have to take the map control. If you don't have the man advantage, then you have to try and push in and use the utility to try and increase your chances and things like that. And that's all that Counter-Strike is about, and ESPADA did it perfectly in that final round, and that's what tipped it over the edge 16-14 for them.
Well, didn't really expect that to happen. I thought we were going to OT. I think really the notes are out of the window. We're going to go to a short break and into the final map of this quarterfinal. We'll see you shortly.
Nice shot. Lock and load.
Wow, very good. Let me show you how it is done. Yeah, no. Woo, damn! That was one of the best tickle fights I've been to.
Welcome back, everybody, to Malta Vibes Week 9. We're getting deeper and deeper into these playoffs with this second quarter final. ESPADA, they were so far ahead, 14-5 at one point, but unable to finish it off before the 30th. 16-14. What a clutch performance right there as we get into our second map of this series. It's Train. It's AGF's map pick as well. ESPADA, I've looked at the results, Jay, and they seem to go to a lot of third and final maps, especially here in the Malta Vibes. So I don't know if they're going to really not just be favored on a map like Train, but if they're going to take it whatsoever. I think that we're probably going to 3 for this one.
Potentially, I think we've certainly seen that they may have initial closing. We saw it there on Mirage, of course, with what was 14-5, and then actually went 15-6. Came all the way back. They just tipped it over the edge right at the end. I broke it down at the end, but it was absolutely incredible the way they changed the pace and just managed to get it done. And look at this head-to-head. This is very, very close. I think it would have been a lot more one-sided had they closed it out. 16-6, 16-7. Instead, they're within a couple of kills of each other. Dexter, the man that we talked about, and it seemed like we said his name a lot last match with that AWP, was absolutely incredible. On that T side, he was the man poking holes in the defense, finding that opening pick time and time again. And on the CT side, he was doing the same. He'd peek out window, he'd find that kill. We even saw him in one of the rounds actually face window, find a kill, wrap all the way around, find the killing connector as well. It's just absolutely incredible. And what do you do? What do you do if you're a T side like that and you're just facing into the AWPer? You have no idea where he's going to be playing. He's just so dynamic. He's going for boosts. He's going for crazy peaks where he drops down into underpass and takes a shot. It becomes very, very difficult to play against.
Yeah, we did preface this series saying that Dexter is definitely one to watch in this particular matchup, that AWP often has such high impact, especially in his hands. And in this specific tournament, we do see lots of powerful AWPers. Just a couple of days ago, obviously, Spiro on Gambit Youngsters finding 75 frags in a series. Dexter not quite putting up that tier of number, but realistically could definitely get there if we go to all 3 maps here. And on a map like Train, he has to be really impactful, especially on that CT side as well, where he's going to be controlling Ivy, the back of that B bomb site. If he can consistently put together those doubles and triples, there's every opportunity that they can shut this down in a way in just 2. But realistically, when you actually dig your teeth into the statistics here and look at ESPADA on Train, it's actually one of their weaker maps over the last 3 months. 3 wins, 4 losses. Nonetheless, enough chit-chat about this one. Let's get into that knife round on Train.
Don't suppose you want me casting another knife round, do you, Squid?
No, please, save it. Save me. Don't do this.
Save it for another time. Save it for a big finals. We need loads of hype. We need all the hype we can get.
I don't know about that one.
Well, we talked about it earlier. The knife round can be somewhat impactful here on Train. If you kick things off on the CT side, it definitely gives you a slight advantage. With ESPADA winning it, I think they almost certainly opt for it. Might give them an opportunity to take some early rounds here, which so many of these teams are quite momentum based, and we certainly saw that over on Mirage. And I think that can be quite a factor when you come into a map like Train. If you are heavily momentum based, you take some early rounds on the CT side. As a terrorist, it can be quite difficult sometimes to actually say to yourself, do you know what? We're 10-5 down, but T-side Train, that's not the worst. We can come back into this one and kind of ignore the scoreline and actually focus more on just the rounds as they come.
Absolutely. When you actually dig your teeth into the statistics on this particular match, AGF and ESPADA have played Train once. AGF were able to win it 16-2. That was in the Loot Bet Season 7 as well. Of course, our partners over for this tournament as well, here in Week 9. Looking from start to finish, pretty weak CT sides on Train for ESPADA. Only 43% of rounds won on that particular side. And up against AGF, that's probably why they've prioritized Train this early in the map pool. Not just a big result behind them, but the ability to take such a dominant CT performance themselves, thinking that they probably have a fairly good chance on the T side. And the odds from LootBet, as close as they get, 1.85 apiece. As we get into this pistol, ESPADA, of course, on that CT side, and AGF looking to attack first and foremost with the double flash, double smoke setup. Sending a lot of this utility actually towards Ivy. Sotvig's just on the spot. He'll get rid of that smoke pretty much straight away, I'd guess. Obviously, on the CT side especially, you want to keep that utility in hand for as long as possible. If Sotvig can perhaps conserve that smoke for the afterplant, for the retake, where he's also got that kit in combination for perhaps a fast defuse, it's way more impactful than just blocking off Ivy for a couple of seconds. And I guess that's AGF's tactic, right? Bait out that smoke, try and get all of that utility away, because used in the afterplants, they're way more powerful.
Well, Finnegan opening things up here. He's struggling for the second, though, and it is going to cost him. Christo trades it out, but a nice response from Dexter. Does trade out that frag also. Patsy coming through. Trades coming back and forth. The man advantage for ESPADA, though. They make that a second as TMB is now last alive. He's able to backtrack, get himself into heaven. There's, of course, no Molotov in hand. And I think the defuse is just going to come through. He's going to struggle to swing and spam away to find it. He's not even going to swing in time. Might be able to find himself another kill. Either way, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference here in the pistol. He's just going to hold on to that P250. And ESPADA are going to take the round. I quite like the way that they played that, especially early on. You touched upon it, and it's very, very smart. And it's something that you did well to pick up. With Sotvik there, jiggle peeking with the smoke in hand, I almost just expect him to spot out those two players on Ivy, deploy that smoke straight away, and either fall off the angle or hold the smoke. And instead, he spots out the players and he continues to jiggle peek, because he's saying, are they just peeking to try and bait out my utility, or are they actually going to go for a push here and I need to slow it down? Now they're going for a push, a very, very fast-paced approach from AGF, and well, it gets put to bed before I can even throw back over to you, Squid. That was one of the quickest rounds I've seen in a while.
Yeah, that was tomatoes in a blender down ramp. 2-0. And realistically, you know that 80% of pistol rounds are being sent towards that B bomb site. So keeping that smoke in hand is just really impactful in comparison to throwing it down at Ivy. And you see that it does force TMB into a really awkward position there. And ESPADA are able to take the early 2-0. Here's that shut away once again. Just lovely stuff to not drop Finnegan on that site. Keeping the FAMAS in hand, keeping that economy rolling. That's the most important round for ESPADA to keep all five alive. It can build that money up, and they've already got a $3,000 buffer on 4 players, with Dima only slightly behind. This is going to be faster speed from AGF, as they want to get up close and personal to these rifles. Here come the headshots, as ESPADA, they've allowed them right on and inside. Lucky with another, and the MP9 only finds one in response before getting ripped out of the server. Sotvig versus 4. This is an impossible scenario here. Needs a couple of surprising frags, and it's just not happening. Through the smokes as well, getting peppered down to 0. What a change of pace from AGF.
I wasn't sure about it. When you see him charging down Olaf like that, you think, what on earth are they doing here? Is this going to work for them? They're charging into 4 players, but it works out perfectly. The utility usage is fantastic. ESPADA's response wasn't really the best to just try and push that player through the Ivy smoke. He gets punished for it. Doing the same over on Connector as well. He's going to allow AGF back into this one as they now sit 2-1. But it does actually force a reinvestment from ESPADA. That was somewhat of a bonus round for them. They kept a couple of SMGs, they kept a couple of FAMASs. Now they upgrade to the rifles. And a fantastic flash from Sotvik allows Dexter to find the opener.
Finnegan once again challenged, and that smoke can instantly go down and away. AGF are going to have to push through this one. They're in before it blooms, and there's the kills as a response. Nice little burst from AGF to grab that bomb down and away. forces ESPADA in another tricky 3 versus 3. Lucky getting aggressive, instantly shot away. Froslev same angle, and almost able to convert both of the kills. Patsy down to 6 HP, and Dima wants to run amok through the numbers. He has the smoke in hand, but no kit. That's going to force the first out in a way, and now they have to spot Netric up inside the heaven. It's a lovely combination to finish. 2-2, as AGF does it again.
Once again, it comes very, very close. We saw it quite a lot over on Mirage, and it carries across to Train. AGF, though, winning that round is actually going to break the bank of ESPADA. They're going to have plenty of money to work with. That was a very smart play from Dima, but just right at the end there, going to stick that bomb. Yeah, it really costs him. If he taps it, he might have an opportunity to get that kill onto Heaven. I think he had a kit in hand, so he certainly had time to. He didn't.
That was the issue there, is without the defuse kit in play, ESPADA pretty much have their hands tied in that retake, where they have to get that defuse in sooner rather than later. And with Dima being the low HP member on the cover, when he goes down to just one body shot, that almost instantaneously ends proceedings. And obviously forces ESPADA back onto these pistols, which AGF should be able to decimate.
Done well to find themselves a couple of kills. Actually, 3. This round, certainly not in contention, but to find 3 frags, to dink down Lucky as well. They've done incredibly well with those USBs. Now they go for the full investment. M4s all round. Dexter actually going down to the glass cannon, which is an interesting one. Absolutely viable on Train. You talked about Train earlier on, about being one of those AWP-heavy maps. It's certainly something that AGF are going to be wary of. The fact that actually Dexter's just been so incredible and so consistent so far this series, that facing up against him on the CT side of a map like Train, as soon as he gets an AWP in hand, he's absolutely going to be dangerous. Instead, they respond with this super aggression that we saw earlier on, and so far it works out for them. They do find the first, straight out the second as well. The trades do come through for ESPADA, but AGF come out on top, and Finnegan now last alive in a 2-on-1. Oh, the sound cue as well.
Oh, Cristo has to dive in and take a little bit of bonus damage there against the Molotov. And Finnegan, they seem to know exactly where he is, and it's Molotovs galore. There's actually another one in play in the hands of Lucky as well. Expect it to come rolling in. Finnegan's going to scratch his head right now when this Molotov comes in. Where is it? I really wanted to see Lucky throw that 4th molly into Pop Dog, but nonetheless, 4-2. And that's the problem when there are so many Molotovs just dropped on that A bomb site. You can kind of just rinse and repeat with the util, and he's forced out way too late. He cannot deny that bomb from going down, and AGF onto 4, showing us quite a sturdy T-side once again. And last time these two teams played this particular map, AGF were able to take 13 rounds on their CT side. So getting this much damage in this early on their terrorist half, here's an opportunity for a 5. Should certainly put this map in contention for them. I think we expected them to win it nonetheless, especially with some shaky defending from ESPADA earlier on Mirage, but this time shouldn't be anything all too competitive. Dima, here come the headshots.
Well, you previously described Train as an impenetrable fortress sometimes on this T side in MIB's map earlier on against the Mad Lions, and in some cases it's how it plays out. This T side can be very, very difficult to get out onto the A bomb site. Instead, AGF, they seem to just be responding with masses of aggression, and it's working out very, very well for them. ESPADA don't seem to know how to counter it. Right now, Lucky, well, he knows Sophick's position. He saw him drop off, and that's going to be a free kill for him. Levels out these numbers back into a 3-on-3. And of course, they have the weaponry advantage. They now have the bomb down. Dima is able to find himself one more, but that nade will almost certainly finish off Finnegan. 2 versus 1. This is doable for ESPADA, but they have to speed it up. There's no kit in hand, and Frostlev's on the site here. Oh my, Lucky, that's a mistake to make, and actually the round goes their favor. What on earth was
Lordy
that?
Lord. That is quite a shaky round from AGF, all things considered, giving Dima a lot of space with that AK-47. We saw that secondary headshot come through inside of Ivy. just absolutely annihilating that attack, and AGF forced to consider other options. They head back to the B-bomb site, and it just wasn't good enough. They walk into Dima once again, 4 quick kills, and a lovely defense from him, especially in the retake scenario, to trade off those deagles, knowing, well, his teammates absolutely know they need to allow the space for Dima to really thrive there. He's more than good enough. Not usually the overwhelming star for this ESPADA side, but when he shows up, that experience really comes into play. And you don't see many rookie mistakes from Dima. He's somebody who we've been watching on the scene for years. I've been casting him for at least 4 or 5 years, just at this sort of tier of play. ESPADA being, well, one of his better achievements here in 2020. And up against AGF, it has to be him, Dexter showing up to close this scoreline back, because ESPADA do need double digits this half if they're going to have a chance of closing this one out. If they're only able to take 8, 9, I really just don't think that's enough.
They need to make sure that they take these early rounds like they did on Mirage. Currently, they've got quite a nice setup with a minute left on the clock as well. They've maintained quite a lot of control. Patsy still on top of this train certainly adds some problems, but Lucky might be able to deal with him. A wide swing would certainly do the trick. Just needs a flash to do so, and Patsy's actually going to drop off. The execute comes through, the shots come across, and Patsy swings out. Actually doesn't find himself a kill, but Dima gets 2. Sotfik with his own and a man advantage for them. 30 seconds on this clock. Has to be traded out, and Netric can do so.
This AWP inside of A main should be able to catch out Finnegan, but a missed shot. There's the follow-up. Gives away the A-bomb site to AGF, where Dexter, I don't think he can contest this C4 going away. Let's see where the plant comes through. If it's towards Pop Dog, maybe he spots out the feet, but standard plant means he's caught in translation and needing to peek this Christo AWP, the first. Oh, and spots out the second. Dexter, that's sensational. Back to 4-4. And ESPADA given a massive lifeline by their star sniper.
That was absolutely incredible from Dexter. A brilliant 2-on-1 and an opportunity to talk about our partners over at Hellcase. Make sure you're using code MaltaV15 when you top up your balance. Gamble responsibly. Make sure you're 18 and all that fun stuff. And here's the replay once again. Such a fantastic clutch. Christo just didn't really know where to watch. We actually see him kind of frantically switching left and right, being wary of Ivy, being wary of actually just someone peeking up close to him. He just doesn't seem to be on the ball so far in this series at all with that AWP. That was a horrendous whiff that almost cost him his life over towards Pop Dog. We saw some missed shots as well over on Mirage.
That's almost the undervalued issue with planting so late in the round, is it disallows you to get into those after plants, and you see that he's just stuck on the bomb site. And up against Dexter, he's not going to allow you to make those mistakes. Well, he is going to allow those mistakes to come through, but he's going to punish them.
Absolutely. This boost as well from Christo. Not going to be spotting anything as of yet. Of course, the man advantage found as Finnegan was caught right out in the open. They've not aggressed off of it. It's looking like they're actually starting to reconvene. In the meantime, the aggression comes through, and you'd think that'd be a free kill for Sotfik, but instead Lucky somehow finds it. Netric bounces back now, the 2-man advantage for them to work with, and this is almost certainly going to be a burst out onto this B-bomb site. I'd actually like to see them backtrack and go for A here. This is what they're going to do. Okay, this was all just an elaborate fake. But nonetheless, they find the frags. Netric, look at that. 2 crisp headshots to put AGF onto 5. And actually, even though they're not pulling away here, by keeping these rounds in contention, by keeping this incredibly close, this is a very, very good T-half for Train.
Yeah, exceptionally decent. 5-4, and the opportunity to take many more. And a hat trick from Netric to push them on to number 5 here, AGF. Now an opportunity to extend this lead a little further. They've still got many rounds in hand. The opportunity to even get closer to double digits. This should certainly be a 6th. We've seen half buys, 1 from ESPADA. They won 2 of them earlier on Mirage, 1 in that first half as well. That was Dima doing the majority of the damage, but not full ecos like this, where you've got nothing to work with. Dima just a P250. Yes, you've got a 5.7 here and there as well, but not much in the way of an investment. All of that initial utility being thrown as well means they've got to do the damage with these P250s, and it's just not going to happen, especially towards the A bomb site where these angles of at very long range. These AKs really do come into their own. Very simple stuff for the rifles. Good night.
Keeping all 5 alive is going to allow them to build up that bank a little bit further as well. You question when they had a couple of dinks come through, you think, oh, maybe they lose a couple of guys here. Instead, they respond very, very well indeed. They go into round number 11. They do have an AWP available, but it's no real surprise that Cristo maybe just isn't massively confident with it. Keeping those players alive actually means that it's unlikely that he throws away an AK and buys up an AWP, but it wouldn't surprise me, actually, if he opts for an AK instead in a couple of these rounds, purely just down to the fact that he's not been hitting all his shots with Netric right now. Oh, jiggling out a pop dog. Almost spotted himself something. Actually deals off a little bit of damage before he falls back. This is dangerous. Look at AGF's positioning right now. It seems like ESPADA have just thrown a smoke on Ivy and just left it. Dima's obviously aware that it's now open, but they're giving them far too much control.
Oh. That was almost the bait and switch from the T side, trading almost evenly. There's Netric to level up the numbers. Finally taken to task. Finnegan there finishing. That's a 5th for ESPADA, but another massively damaging round puts their economy in the dumpster once again. And you see the MP9s come through for Sotvik and Dima. This is not going to be the best buy for this CT half. And another opportunity for AGF to completely break the economy, considering they have full cash in hand for the investment here in number 12. I think the only reason Cristo didn't pick up the AWP in the last was that survived AK-47. Now that he dies, he's right back to the AWP, and this is where we want to see him. Trying to open up these bomb sites with the AWPs. This time unable to do so, allowing Finnegan to find a pair. But AGF, not really much ground towards B. Instead, most of the attack over on the A bomb site where they have established control.
That was quite dangerous, as Lucky actually got right in there with that bomb. If he gets taken down, the round's almost certainly over. By him being allowed to fall back away, it gives them an opportunity. Dima, we might be allowed a free kill here, but he's also got to be very, very careful. Makes no sound cue. Should be allowed the headshot onto TMB. Could deny the bomb plant right now as well. Instead, it's Patsy to do so. And all of a sudden, a round that was very much looking like AGF's for the taking has gone the other way. ESPADA have to play this one smart. This is still doable. Frostlev's got plenty of time on this clock. But ESPADA are actually playing this one perfectly. Not peeking him, holding until he plants the bomb. And then he almost certainly gets taken down here as he swings out. No, that's not going to be the case. Patsy trades it though, and ESPADA tie things up to 6. We've actually seen the last 4 or 5 rounds go back and forth. These teams are pretty inseparable right now. They're both looking very, very good.
Yeah, definitely. But considering this is AGF's T side of Train, and we know how strong and sturdy their CT side can often be, this scoreline being so close definitely favors them going into the second half. Even if this is only 6 rounds, I would say they still have a slight advantage. The pistol does kind of hang in the balance at that point and would probably give the winner of that second half pistol the advantage in that second half. Now ESPADA, I think the pressure's all on them. They need to get this to 9. I said before that they're aiming for double digits here on their CT half, especially against a team like AGF, who have had such a strong CT side against them before. I know that you can't expect them to repeat the performance here on 12, but this has to be the shut away, and it seems to be Dima doing all of the damage. There's a lot of HP taken away from Lucky as he gets swept out of the server. Bomb in the open, still 90 seconds left, but this has to be headshots galore from AGF. And there's Frostlev to get us started. Molotov goes through. There's the flank. As Cristo should be next in line.
Well, we have seen a fair few rounds where Demon gets taken out in that position, relatively uncontested. That's not the case here, though. Finds that double spray, deals some damage onto another as well. It gives them an opportunity here. It actually gives them an opportunity to put themselves onto 9. They should almost certainly be able to get onto 8, as AGF will have no money here. Best case scenario, we see a few pistols pulled out. I highly, highly doubt that they go for a buy, and I actually heavily advise against a buy here. But if they do go for this eco, ESPADA go 8-6. Then they go for the buy, and if ESPADA can convert it, then 9-6 is a pretty good CT half. As you say, there may be a bit of hope for more, but all things considered, it's not too bad at all.
Yeah, really not too shaky. Seen 2 pretty good T sides out of AGF as of this point. Mirage was very, very close to going to overtime. This could certainly go the distance, but I think, again, the pressure is on ESPADA here. Bit of a half buy. As a couple of unarmored pistols are going to pour into this MP9. It's a perfect flash, and Dima once again able to triple it up. And there's Sotvig just to finish off the job that Dima started. 8-6. ESPADA, that was obviously going to be a fairly convincing round right there. I think the only opportunity is if they find that MP9 incredibly quickly and then convert onto a second frag and then play the safety in numbers. It's really damn difficult to win a round like that. ESPADA know it. They're up to 8, but I think this 9th might be needed here. If AGF push this back 8-7, I think even without the pistol, they'd probably be favored in terms of the odds. And I think even at a 9-6, you might see the slight advantage in the terms of the loot bet odds probably being towards them.
Potentially so.
It's a pick, of course.
Exactly, especially on a map like Train. It's a little bit of a shame they don't have a secondary confident AWPer to pick it up, but it's actually Finnegan to open things up with 2. Patsy had a very good position to swing out and find a 3rd, but actually gets completely nailed to the wall nonetheless. All the kills come through on the A site, and Sotvik goes, oh yeah, they pushed out to B. Let's go back there and finish this one off. And ESPADA have a very, very fast, very convincing 15th round and take it 9-6.
That's really impressive there, and Dima has been the shooting star of this CT side. 17 frags topping the tables for ESPADA. Everybody else just around that lower double-digit mark. 10, 11, couple of 9s, and well, ESPADA, they're actually the favorites, supposedly. Probably wouldn't have suggested that. I think this is definitely all according to who wins this pistol, but taking 9, a bit of a shaky start as well. I think that they definitely are back in this second map, and we'll see what this really means for them as they get into their T side here. I think, remember that previous AGF result was 2 months and a day ago, so quite far in the past. That's a lifetime in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot of time for ESPADA to play Train against other teams, to sit and train in the practice server as well. And they've had a little break themselves, of course. They have actually played a fair amount of Counter-Strike over the last 3 months, but they weren't necessarily in the early weeks of the Malta Vibes and 9-5 Cups. They were sort of taking that time, playing in other things, taking some time to practice as well, and then they've come into these later weeks, and they've been playing absolutely fantastically. Right here, if they can take this pistol round, take it 10-6, they're in a very, very good position to tip this one over the edge. Look at that smoke. That's going to smoke off connector.
That's pretty standard. That's just to slow away those CT rotations. Might even be for a bit of a fake here, depending on if ESPADA can find this first frag. They're keeping the door open to head back to the A-bomb site if needed. And there's the Molotov out as well, spotting up the Glocks. This should ordinarily force the rotates off of the B-bomb site, but AGF, they're staying put. They seem to have read this one perfectly. Negotiating a man through connector. This is dangerous for Froslev, as he's unable to connect with the passing shots. That's a great distraction. All 3 of the kills come through, and ESPADA, they've just done it. This should be them up to 10. Netric, yes, he does have the kit in hand, but he needs to connect with everything, and the triple peak ends him. This should certainly be 10 for ESPADA, as the USPS cannot get the job done. TMB forced back into more passive lines. Look at ESPADA closing these distances. The Glock's up close and personal, right in your face. And there's another one. 10-6. That's a beautifully played round by ESPADA right there. The smoke deep inside the connector throws AGF through the loop, perhaps, but no, they keep all three players in towards the B bomb site. Then you've got the rotate and the wrap through connector for ESPADA, and nobody on the B bomb site can prioritize the primary push that's coming through. 10-6. Beautiful from ESPADA.
Very much so, as AGF as well. They go for this force up. If this doesn't work out for them, ESPADA have an opportunity to put themselves onto 12. For their sake, let's just hope that they can convert better than they could in the last. What on earth was that? A fantastic headshot from TMB. They actually go for the double peak again. They're not confident in his ability to hit another one of those. He's absolutely not able to. That was a ridiculous shot.
10-6. And TMB clearing faces and making statements. I'm scared for ESPADA once he gets that AWP in hand. That's why they need to take these early rounds, Jay. Once AGF gets that double AWP setup running on the CT side, there's every opportunity that they can try to take it over the top. And pause for thought. That's why ESPADA is playing such a passive defense here. They know that there are at least a scout or two on the server, one of which has been dropped. It's a little bit of damage pumped in, but with 40 seconds left.
Yeah, they actually swarm this A bomb site. It's going to force AGF right back. They're going to save what they have because they know that if they die here, they're going to be on a full eco in the next. They're actually not going to be able to invest anything next round. So saving these weapons at least gives them something to work with. I anticipate Patsy to go on a hunt here with this Mat 10. Try and rack up a little bit more cash. He won't mind reinvesting in the next anyway. Maybe he doesn't, though. Maybe he just saves it. The economy on his side isn't in a good place. Of course, just kicking things off on this second half. So by staying alive here, you rack up some bank. You don't have to reinvest into the next. Puts you in a fantastic position, especially when you've got 4 guys staying alive in that second round. Very, very minimal reinvestments needed going into the 18th.
And it also makes sense for AGF. They want a little bang for your buck here in round number 18. They've obviously got 4 little upgrades and the opportunity to buy into round number 19 as well. And what ordinarily would be a couple of USPSs now has a little bit of spice to it. A Mag 7, a Scout, a couple of upgraded pistols as well. This isn't going to be just a rollover round, perhaps. I'd have loved to see TMB with a Scout in hand after seeing exactly what came through just prior. But remember, Christo is that primary AWP. He's going to be holstering it the majority of the time. I'd love to see a replay of that TMB Scout shot after this round if we could get it done. Because that is maybe the nicest shot that we've seen all game. So yeah, I'd love to see the replay.
Yeah, it was incredibly fast. Very small gap he was holding as well. You very rarely get to see a shot come through like that, especially with a scout. 4 versus 4 now. Dexter actually playing a similar position. His teammate played in the last round, but they're just playing this super passive, waiting for some kind of aggression from AGF here. And if they don't get it, then they'll group up and head towards the site. But for now, they've got plenty of time on their hands. They will retrieve the bomb, and it's looking like they are going to go for A smokes. There's going to be 2 CTs waiting for them, and well, they have to make sure they clean them out because they're pretty close. They're in rather dangerous positions. Frostlev, if he dances around this smoke, could get himself a freebie. The rotations are coming through. Frostlev, an opportunity, but he's not going to be able to take it. TMB does so, though. Deals a little bit of damage onto the second as well, but the trades do come through. Lucky with the Mag 7 coming down the ladder, though. Certainly adds a spanner to the works. There's now 18 seconds left on the clock. They have to go for this plant, but Christo's got the scout up in heaven. And if they can't clear him, then there's a problem. Luckily, They do find that shot. He's only able to connect the body. Lucky now last alive in a 1-on-2. He's smoked off as well. He has retrieved himself a Galil, but he's still got a hell of a task on his hands, and he's not going to be able to pull it off. Dexter puts a bullet in his head, and ESPADA take their 12th, but it came a little bit closer than I think they were anticipating it to. Is this
Here we go.
It is.
Look at this shot. Look how fast this is. Jesus! Dima, he didn't know what hit him there. Look at this. Bang!
That is
One more time. Boom!
Pow.
All of the onomatopoeias. 12-6 on the board, and this is where AGF need a flurry of rounds. It's not the worst scenario in the world to be 12-6 down on your CT side, but I mean, losing that pistol really does change the tide, and now they've got to show us what they're made of with the rifles. ESPADA have already shown a little lack of courage finishing off these games, and now they've got to do it in one of the hardest scenarios. AGF's map pick, T side of train, they cannot let this money bolster up, meaning ESPADA really have to do some damage right here. Otherwise, AGF then get an economy, get an opportunity to grow that cash.
I think this is certainly something that AGF will be looking to abuse. They know that ESPADA aren't the best at closing out. That's evident from that last Mirage game. That's evident from actually every single series that ESPADA have recently played that have come down to that third map. AGF might know that right now they're not the best side, but they know that they're consistent. They know that they have the resilience to hold out here and try and pull this back. They've come in through the buy round, and as you say, this is the right time for them to do so. Had they have won the pistol, that would have been a fantastic opportunity for them to pull it back. But instead they don't, and this is the time that they had to.
I mean, ESPADA are deciding to save. They made this decision at about the 1:10 mark with no mistakes being made. They want to keep Dexter's AWP alive, and I guess Finnegan and Patsy will be stuck on the $2,700 mark. So maybe Sotvig with full utility already will drop an AK, and maybe Dima drops a Galil, maybe just Patsy purchases one himself. I think they'll get full sets of utility on 4 players, with Patsy maybe even getting a full set himself. So this is actually somehow a full buy with all AK-47s, just the one Galil in play, and really not too bad for ESPADA, all things considered. But this is where they have to start to rattle these buys. AGF starting to bolster that economy up to the $1,500 to $2,000 mark. It's not enough to get a buy in the next with fairly lower loss bonus. I guess if they lose this, even with a player or 2 surviving, they can buy into the next. Even if all 5 die, I guess they can get a buy anyway. Nevertheless, they've got to contend and contest this B-take. And ESPADA, they're primed and ready. Expect the smokes to roll over the top right now as they push on through.
Lucky with this M4, has to shut this down. He's got a fantastic angle and he's good for 2. Sotvik does trade it out, but they need to find more than this. And Netric from behind, making this very, very difficult. It does get traded. Sotvik somehow allowed to plant the bomb. This gives him an opportunity, especially if he can find this skill, but it's not going to happen. Frostlev takes him out. Finnegan's left in a near impossible scenario. It's a 3-on-1. The bomb's not even planted for him. That nade's not going to connect with anyone. And he has to swing wide and go for this. There's no chance here. This is actually a 10-second defuse, but yeah, TMB's going to make easy work of him. And AGF managed to convert that one. Put their 7th on the board. Force ESPADA back into a position where they can't really afford to invest into this one. I anticipate they just go for the pistols or something here. And this is where, okay, they're going to call a timeout. This is where, touching upon it in that round where they saved those 3 guys, your IGL, he has to have these quick math skills, much like a pro darts player or something, where we're on the
darts
fly.
player.
Yeah, where you have to like have your quick maths, don't you?
I love it.
Like, adding things up on the fly. You have to say,
I think
right.
Billy Bull actually calls out the numbers.
Right.
He says 151. Maybe we should have that in Counter-Strike. Just a little bull behind the stage with a microphone. He calls out $3,900. Whatever. That's so silly.
Well, might allow the players to manage their economies a little better, but as I say, the IGL just seems to be able to do that on the fly. Just in those scenarios, it's like, right, okay, we have 3 rifles. This is how much money we're going to have next round. If we save these 3 rifles, we have a full buy in the next. If we don't, we will not. Even if we lose 1 man here, we won't. So everybody stay in the T-spawn. Nobody go out to hunt. And we're going to make sure that we have the investment in the next. That's exactly what they did. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out for them. And now AGF, once again, they're coming back into this one.
I don't know. I like having a cartoon bull on the broadcast. I think that's the conclusion that we've come to here.
Yeah, is that what you want? Is this another M&J and Squib request? We want that. Yeah, we want the happy headshots. I think that's only on 9 to 5. I don't think that.
The happy headshots. What
yeah,
was that?
Do you remember the headshots that you take 3 headshots of each player, and then depending on that,
I see. Yeah,
it changes.
Yeah, I thought you had to qualify that one a little bit. I think you should explain it a little bit better for the viewers who don't watch every one of our shows.
Oh yeah, okay. So the idea of, obviously you have the player headshots in 9 to 5 on the HUD, and actually taking 3 headshots of each player, and then depending on their KD or whether their team's winning, depends on which headshot is displayed. So if they've got a good KD and they're winning, then there's the happy headshot of them smiling, and if they've got a bad KD and they're losing, then it's like the grumpy picture of the player. I think that would add a depth to the show that just no one else has.
No, nobody can do it. It's like cutting edge tech. I think they should have just one picture of me, which is very grumpy. I've got the picture. Well, we've got the picture already. It's already been taken. Maybe just put it on the broadcast at all times.
Oh, right.
Just in the corner.
Just a very grumpy squid. He's grumpy with the losing team. Or he's just grumpy.
Just grumpy squid.
Vic, that's a nice headshot to bring things back into a 4-on-4. He's really the only man with a weapon to work with, but as Patsy finds another, it's actually quite disciplined for him to not peek out and try and grab that rifle. He actually just falls right back, plays the man advantage. It's looking like his team are going to regroup over towards B. I still don't think they've got a lot to work with in this round, especially with none of these weapons retrieved. But with the man advantage, of course, it certainly becomes doable. Especially if they come
AGF, they've been completely outmaneuvered. Yes, they have this fast, effective flank from Netric, but he has to come in really clutch here, especially if Christo cannot connect with any of these shots. Foot spotted, Dexter shot to pieces, and there's the flank just to finish this one off. I can't imagine ESPADA will get the bomb down in a way. And that means that these players should actually survive after time. That would be a big problem here. Patsy does try and tap those digits in, forces the face. I'd say that's actually quite intelligent to get the loss bonus in hand. He would have been in a real awkward scenario with only a scout in hand if he had have survived that. So just trying to tap those digits in. It's that double-edged sword for AGF. They cannot time this one out. And if they don't peek, he gets the bomb down. If they do, then he gets the loss bonus. I really like that from him. That's some nice snappy decision making. And now ESPADA, that should be the turning point here in this second half for AGF there. Just securing that anti-eco, pushing them on to 9. I'd say now they have a slight advantage in this one, this being their defensive side, where they're usually quite consistent. Let's see what ESPADA can do to change the pace. Because we've not seen any success from this T side.
Well, this could be the turning point for AGF, an opportunity for them to close this gap if they can convert this round. However, They've given ESPADA a lot to work with in the first half, and therefore they're very, very close to 16. Lucky doing everything he can to try and keep his team in this one with the double kill. Frostlev coming through as well. And with TMB connecting that shot, it's almost all said and done. The AWP's going to drop down. The smoke will give him a little bit of cover, and a bomb plant might come through. But a 2-on-1 for him to clutch up. Spots out the player. Can't quite connect the shot. This is actually doable for Dexter. He is very low HP. Has to be wary of his flank as well. And he's able to cross, which gives him some more room to work with. But is he going to check his back? It's not looking like he's going to. And TMB's going to punish him for it.
Yeah, some simple stuff for AGF there in the 1 versus 2. Just need to ensure that you don't overface a member like Dexter. And as soon as that preliminary damage comes in, he's pretty much counted away. And this double AWP setup for AGF hasn't really paid massive dividends thus far. It's actually been the rifles finding the majority of the frags for the defensive side. But they do have that double AWP as an insurance policy. Christo's been quiet. But with TMB playing some fairly solid Counter-Strike and this full buy again coming into effect, the money isn't perfect for AGF, so they have to keep this winning streak going. But I think they do have back-to-back buys ensured here. And ESPADA have been really weak on this T side. Remember, they were, again, 12-6 up. We've now seen 4 in a row for AGF to put them back to 12-10. And this is where they can assert this defensive-sided advantage, especially with the AWPs just in contention, finding all of these kills. Lucky's been a real solid threat on this B-bomb site, and once again, a good flash nails both players. And Dima, where are the headshots? There's the first.
Oh my, Christo again. Another shot that he should be connecting, and by not doing so, makes this round very, very difficult to come back into. TMB's going to miss a shot as well. He did have the high ground, but that's not going to happen. His teammates are going to fall right back. ESPADA should be able to put themselves... In fact, ESPADA will be able to put themselves onto 13 here. AGF have sufficiently come back that they can afford to do this. If this was still like 12-6 and then they allow their opponents onto 13, it becomes very dangerous. But they pulled it right back. They're now within a couple. It certainly makes sense for them to go for this save, but they're not going to be allowed to. ESPADA hungry for those kills, take them away. And there's actually no money for a full investment here from AGF. So a couple of pistols probably come out. Maybe they actually go for the buy here. They're going to go for the buy here. This is not going to be the best of buys.
I think it's going to be decent. You at least have the double AWP setup to fall back on, but this is where Christo is going to be challenged. He's missed a lot of shots on that defensive half, and now he needs to come in clutch. He's the main man I'm looking towards here for AGF, and if a couple of blunders come through, then ESPADA, this might be 14, 15 rounds perhaps on this T side, and then an opportunity to close. A lovely nade to get us started. The double peek comes in, and there's finally Christo stepping up. One shot found, missing the secondary shot. And as ESPADA close in elsewhere, that might be a crucial whiff once again. The smoke's through, TMB, a nice responsive Molotov. That's going to force ESPADA backwards. They don't want to push into this B-bomb site. He might have actually saved that whole C4 from going down. And with Frostlev eliminated, I think this might even open the path over towards A with only the double AWPs left in play.
Well, if they do go for A, Christo has to go huge here and find himself either 1 and stay alive or 2 before he falls. Personally, I'm not massively confident in his ability to do so. He's not been massively impressing me this series. Been missing a lot of these AWP shots. He has hit a few nice ones. It's kind of one of these misses the easy ones, hits the hards, but TMB getting super aggressive. It is being checked, but the timing is impeccable. And you might be able to drop down and catch him off guard, especially with Christo actually finding that first. It gives them an opportunity here. He could peek out and completely shut this down. As soon as he fires off a shot, he's surely going to get checked, but he stays alive. A 2-on-1 for him to clutch up now. There's an opportunity. There's 10 seconds on this clock. He has a Molotov as well to isolate these fights, but the bomb's on the other side of the train. It is going to go down, and he surely gets caught with his pants down here. Oh. He stays alive for a little longer. Oh, my goodness. Well, that one came quite close, but ESPADA do just tip it over the edge in a 1 versus 1 situation. When it was a 4v2 and there was just those 2 AWPs in play, I would not have expected that.
No, 14-10, ESPADA, they do it again, pushing us closer to that magical 16 here in regulation. They've still got to take 1 buy round, but it's not going to be this 25th considering AGF. They've got a full eco to face first. Realistically, no investment here in the 25th. Instead, just an aggressive stance towards Ivy for this trio of CTs. Dima probably should be able to mow them out of the server. There's the conversion. And the round pretty much coming to a head. What's the buy going to look like for AGF, more importantly, in round number 26? I think they might even be deprived of this AWP. Maybe if Christo goes for it, it'll be a glass cannon. That's unfortunate. And I don't think they have this prized double AWP setup. And 0 AWPs for AGF. So they don't even hit that 4750 threshold that Christo needed. And it means that they're forced onto 5 sets of M4s at best. The utility, they're deprived of Molotovs at least. They don't have a single incendiary grenade for this CT side. And that's a big problem.
ESPADA. They really want to just close this out here. Of course, as you say, there's no Molotovs on AGF. There's actually no offensive utility whatsoever. There's not even a HE for them to work with. So just to smoke some flashes to try and get the job done here. ESPADA have shown us that they had difficulty over on Mirage. Once they were on match point, they threw away a few back-to-back rounds. Allowed AGF to pull it all the way back to 14. Do we see the same here? Does history repeat itself? A good flash going into A main. Gives Netric a little bit of room to work with. Dima does find it. It's instantly traded, but it's a bit of a distraction play. They're actually headed over towards B. Lucky's able to find himself a single kill, but it is traded out instantly. A 3-on-3. The bomb's going to go down. Dexter's got a nice angle on it as well. Does this retake come through these smokes?
This is where things get real difficult for AGF. They might not be able to close up this gap once more and get on to 11. The smokes are going to completely blind everybody, but Patsy decides to go trailing on through. That's a mistake. Smokes replaced gives Dexter a secondary avenue of approach, and AGF are cutting this one really close. They don't have much time left for this retake, and Dexter, he hits the shot. He's still alive. What a flick! That's incredible. TMB gone, and Frostlev, I don't think he's got enough time to get the job done. ESPADA, they might have just done this one 6